VCY America presents Crosstalk, a nationwide call-in program discussing issues that have an effect on our families, our communities, our churches, our nation, and our world. Crosstalk, an opportunity for you to voice your concerns for biblical principles. And now live by satellite and around the world on the internet at vcyamerica.org. Here is today's Crosstalk.
And a pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome to Crosstalk, and good to have you with us today. And if my throat is a little bit on the fuzzy side today, we were busy helping to sing along last night at the VCY America Singspiration up in Wisconsin Rapids, there at the Faith Reformed Church. And people coming from all over the area, and we're so grateful to have the opportunity to meet so many and hear their voices raised in prayer and praise to our wonderful Savior. Well, today we have a program that, in order to open it properly, I am going to play a sound that hopefully you will understand. It is the kind of a thing that, it is, let me put it this way, the words will explain exactly what they're saying. Listen to this. You heard it. Those are the voices of homosexuals who angrily were vandalizing. This is some time back in Madison, Wisconsin. But today our message is going to be a little bit more extensive because things are getting heavier and hotter. With us today is Peter LaBarbera, who is with us, and he is going to be talking about something. He's no stranger to this broadcast. And he's president of the Americans for Truth. And that's, as you listen to what he has to say, I think you will understand why we're concerned. And I just want to say, Peter, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you, Vic. Thanks for having me. And my throat's a little hoarse, too.
Well, Peter, let's start out by you telling the story of what this thing is. You were at the Christian Liberty Academy there as a location for a very special event. Tell us about this and what's been happening.
Well, the Christian Liberty Academy is a wonderful Christian school in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Every year they host our banquet, and we're relieved because when we tried to host it at the hotels, the Chicago radical homosexual activists would say, hey, there's going to be a hate group at your hotel. And guess what would happen, Vic? The hotel would say, oh, and kick us out. So this just shows how the left is always trying to intimidate people and censor speech. Well, we were being hosted again by the Christian Liberty Academy, and also we were going to present an award to Scott Lively, the pro-family hero, actually, who's fought the gay movement so hard and so well for 2 decades, more than 2 decades. Well, when the homosexual activists found out that Scott Lively was going to be honored, they were enraged, and the day of our banquet, in the early morning hours, 2 bricks, paver bricks, like the kind in a patio. Mm-hmm. 2 bricks were thrown through the windows of Christian Liberty Academy with a note attached which said, I can't read the whole thing because it's vulgar, but I can read part of it. The note said, this is just a sample of what we will do if you don't shut down Scott Lively and AFTA. AFTA would be Americans for Truth About Homosexuality, my group. They had some vulgar things, and this was done in the wee hours of the morning.
They even wrote on one of the stones, I've got pictures of it here, that wrote, shut down Lively.
Shut down Lively. And then it gets even more unbelievable, Vic. One of these guys posted on a website, a radical left-wing website in Chicago, a tirade against us, in which basically they say that if you keep this up, there will be more attacks against Christian Liberty Academy.
Well, now my question is this: you're simply talking about the biblical admonitions regarding this type of a lifestyle.
Yes.
And to Christians,
just like you, Vic, we just stand for biblical morality, God's truth. But the homosexual lobby is so arrogant now and so powerful that they cannot abide even presentations of truth on this issue. They want to shut it all down. Ultimately, that's their objective.
I'm going to play these cuts again so people kind of get a perspective, because these were recorded in Madison, Wisconsin some time ago. But they are similar to what you're going to hear. And, for instance, you hear them saying this.
Teach your kids to hate!
Teach your kids to hate. Well, there's more. Bring back the lions.
Wow.
I mean, this is the kind of mindset that we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. And here, this event, which is going to honor a person who is presenting the biblical aspect of morality. And not only was he there, but someone that so many people know, because I believe it also involved Dr. Erwin Lutzer from Moody Church.
Yes, he was, Vic, and he gave a wonderful presentation, and he was not intimidated. Neither was the school. We went on with the event. We had our best banquet ever, Vic. And let me read you the last quote of that letter that was posted on the Left Wing website. Mm-hmm. It says, quote, "These chunks of concrete were thrown through these windows and doors for two reasons: to show that there is a consequence for hatred and homophobia in our community, and to directly cause this event to be shut down. If this event is not shut down and the homophobic day trainings do not end, the Christian Liberty Academy will continue to be under constant attack."
That's love, right? That's the American way of handling it. It's fascism.
Yeah, this is homo-fascism. People are calling it the Gestapo or the gay KK. This is the aggressive, censorious, evil end of a homosexual sin movement, which is growing in such power that they feel they can not only carry out these attacks, but then basically brag about them online.
The next step, Peter, that I'm very anxious to find out about is the agencies that are our law keepers, those who are here to protect our rights and to protect churches. You see, if it was the reverse and Christians went to the facilities of a homosexual organization and started throwing bricks through the windows, there'd be a bus full of people in jail.
Yeah, Vic, I guarantee if a conservative were to do that, the FBI would be on it right away. There would be massive media attention. Now, we're fighting to get the media to cover this in a significant way. They've done a couple short articles, but you know how, if we want to be treated the exact way as any other victims. We cannot have a society in which the Christians are the ones where you can do anything to, but it's politically incorrect. The other groups that are victims, they get maximum police attention and media focus and all that.
You know, I'm going to ask you a question here, and we may not have the answer at this moment, but maybe before the broadcast is over. But maybe the listeners of Crosstalk would be willing to call the FBI and ask them to intervene.
Yeah, yes, I think the FBI has got to get involved in this. It's clearly a hate crime. And like you, Vic, I'm sure you don't agree with the concept of hate crimes either. But if there are hate crime laws on the books, as there are in Illinois and federally, then this must be treated like a hate crime because it's obviously trying to intimidate people because of their firmly held point of view.
Well, I'm hoping in a few moments we may have the number for the FBI in Chicago. And I really hope that many of our people here recognizing, I mean, this affront that's happened there could well happen in Zanesville, Ohio tomorrow. It could happen in Joplin, Missouri. It could happen in Duluth, Minnesota. It could happen anywhere in Milwaukee and all over the state of Wisconsin. It could happen simply because there's been no response. And this idea of sometimes of just let things cool down and we don't want to get too carried away. It's sin. It's crime. If this is literally, it's extortion. If you don't do what I want, I'm going to smash your house.
Right. And this is, of course, how the left operates, Vic, across the world. It's always had a sort of a fascist arm, a wing of hate. And, they talk about the climate of hate, Vic. they've created such a climate of hate against Scott Lively by falsely claiming that he wants, and me, probably you too, Vic, they're saying we condone the murder of homosexuals. That is an outright lie. As you have and as Scott has from the very beginning, I have condemned violence and genuine hatred against homosexuals. We want gays and lesbians to be saved through the blood of Christ. We want them to come out of that lifestyle, which is an abomination. It's destructive. It's wicked. But we celebrate when people can get out of this lifestyle. And so it is a complete lie that they're spreading, and they're whipping up hatred against people like Scott Lively, and then these sort of awful acts occur in that climate of hate.
Well, as I was sitting here listening to what you're having to say, I was trying to bring up the FBI contacts in the Chicago area, and hopefully we'll have them here shortly. But the issue, again, as people pray for people caught in this website, and we call it, I should say, a lifestyle which is paraded on websites, the Gay Liberation Front. We're talking about the issue of a lifestyle that is totally alternative, and it is abnormal. We have at this moment the telephone number for the Chicago division of the FBI. And I'm hoping that many of our listeners across the nation would call for an investigation of what has happened to Christian Liberty Academy. Folks, that's when I call, I'm going to say, please investigate what has happened to Christian Liberty Academy in is it Chicago or?
Arlington Heights, Illinois.
Arlington Heights, Illinois. Okay, folks, you've got it. And the phone number for the Chicago division of the FBI is 312. That's the area code, 312. And the phone number is 421-6700. 421-6700. Be respectful, be kind, be brief, and to the point, because there'll probably be a lot of people calling. But I think they need to hear the voices of the people across this country, because it can well happen in your town tomorrow. The telephone number again of the FBI in Chicago, that's area code 312-421-6700. And Arlington Heights, which is a suburb of Chicago, and the Christian Liberty Academy. Doors smashed. Why? And hate mail, threatening, continual violence. I wonder, folks, how long it's going to be before churches are facing the same issue.
And Vic, you know, the more we stay silent, and the more Christians don't get involved in this issue, the more we reward the bully. And the bully is the so-called gay lobby. They have made a lot of progress by bullying people, even as they complain about bullying of young people who they say are, quote, gay. So we cannot reward this bullying. We must stay strong.
We're going to be right back in just a minute. This is Crosstalk on the VCY America Radio Network. Get on the phone and let your call be heard. We'll be right back.
Genesis with creation researcher Dr. John Morris of the Institute for Creation Research. Dr. Morris, in Leviticus 11, it mentions an insect with 4 legs. What is it talking about?
Chris, insects all have 6 legs. Now, insects are part of the very large and varied phyla of arthropods, which includes everything with segmented legs. The Leviticus passage mentions in particular locusts and grasshoppers and mentions 4 legs, even though both locusts and grasshoppers have 6 legs. The biblical passage talks about it walking on 4 legs and then 2 other legs with which it leaps, situated above the other 4. Modern studies of these insects have confirmed the biblical description. The front 4 legs are used for clinging and crawling and climbing, while the back 2 are used for leaping. Skeptics have criticized the Bible for this inaccuracy, but in reality it's precisely accurate. The Creator knows what He created back in Genesis.
Thanks for tuning in to Back to Genesis.
And with us again this afternoon is Peter LaBarbera, president of Americans for Truth. And again, we've shared with you the story of what's happened at the Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights, Illinois. And the situation, of course, is one where, I'll tell you what, Peter, you mentioned that when the police were called, you asked them some questions, and they didn't even acknowledge that there was a hate note along with it.
Well, let me clarify, Vic. What happened was I talked to a reporter for the Sun-Times, and she said, well, she's wanted to ask about this vandalism, as they called it. And I said, well, I don't really think vandalism does it justice. Did you see the notes that came with the chunks of concrete? And she had not seen the note. She had talked to the police, so I'm wondering, are the police trying to have this portrayed as a mere act of vandalism? Obviously, it's a hate crime, according to the liberal definition of what a hate crime is.
Well, folks, if that were to happen in the reverse relationship, if there were a Christian who would do something like this, I'm sure that they would be behind bars, 3 sets of bars, before the sun ever set. But the situation we're facing here today is, again, the vicious, angry attacks and the fact that there would be ongoing violence that could be applied to that fine Christian school, Christian Liberty Academy. That phone number again, in case you didn't get it, we're asking our listeners to courteously call the Chicago Division of the FBI. And the phone number is 312-421-6700. And simply ask them to investigate a hate crime that's been perpetrated against the Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights, Illinois, and the organization Americans for Truth. This is a hatred thing where chunks of concrete thrown through the glass doors of a school, and then an explanation that this type of thing would continue. It's absolutely amazing that the passive attitude by some in law enforcement as this element unfolds. Well, Scott, the message again, Scott Lively, of course, and Dr. Lutzer's message. You said he was not intimidated. What did he share that evening?
Oh, he shared a wonderful talk about the Christian approach. We don't, we all sin is sin before God, but we cannot celebrate homosexuality as the liberals would ask us to do. And increasingly, he noted, Christians will pay a price in this culture for standing up for the truth. And, there it was, the illustration right there with this awful attack on Christian Liberty Academy. And, Scott Lively, too, Vic, gave a wonderful presentation the day before and also at our banquet where he talked about all the lies and dirty tricks that the homosexual side has used over the years to win political battles, to win elections, these ballot measures. Scott told them about this one thing, which it was a fake hate crime, where they staged their own hate crime to make it look like they're the victim. Well, maybe that's why they thought we were staging this, because they were projecting the way they operate, which is using lies. But Christians can't do that.
Well, when you see what happened in the biblical times in Sodom and Gomorrah, they were not ashamed of their behavior. They weren't in the closet. They were out of the closet. They were there to challenge anyone. In fact, when the angels came to warn Lot, and they came to the doors, they saw these angels and felt that they were fair prey for their homosexual advances. And the thing, of course, that bewilders me is how Lot was willing to allow his daughters to be offered as an alternative for these perverts to conduct this kind of behavior. And obviously, you saw what happened to the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. They were annihilated.
Yes, and Vic, I think with the increase of power, the more homosexual power in society, the harder it will be for Christians and anybody to stand up for biblical truth about marriage and God's wonderful plan for sex in marriage. And so we are witnessing right now the incredible growth of power accelerated under President Obama, the most radically pro-homosexual and pro-abortion president in American history. We are now witnessing the fruits of that power growing in our culture, and Christians must stand up for the truth, or we may lose our right to proclaim it in the public square.
When we see how many homosexuals have been placed in high positions in government, it is extremely alarming.
Yes, and accelerated again under President Obama. They're just boasting about it. One guy who was an appointee of Obama, I believe, a homosexual, he says we should have to pay for the taxpayers under Obamacare should have to pay for these awful sex change operations, Vic, with our taxpayer dollars. So, I mean, it's hard to even keep track anymore of how many gains the homosexual lobby has made. And the tendency is for Christians sometimes to lose hope and say, oh, it's all over. Well, if we do that, we will lose our freedom. That's for sure.
Well, folks, I hope that many of you are taking that phone number seriously, because if somebody doesn't deal with it now, the next time it may be your church in your community, wherever it is. That phone number for the FBI in Chicago, and people are invited to let your voice be heard in regard to this type of hate crime which is perpetrated against the Christian Liberty Academy and Americans for Truth, and every aspect, and warning, threatening that if they didn't cease the direction of their beliefs, that they would receive more of this type of behavior, with concrete going through the windows and who knows what all. But the phone number for the Chicago Division of FBI is 312-421-6700. Be brief, be to the point. When I call, I'm going to urge you to look into the hate crime that was committed in Arlington Heights, Illinois. And this is something I think that every voice, be courteous, be kind, to the point, and let them know that the world across our nation, and today I'm speaking to people on the West Coast, on the East Coast, and the Central United States, and on the periphery, and may I suggest that you call. Let your voice be heard, okay? We're going to open our phone lines to have you join and talk with our guest today, Peter LaBarbera. And maybe you can already let us know what kind of response you're getting from the FBI in Chicago. Our telephone number is 800-733-9829. 800-733-9829. If you do call the FBI, please be courteous, be kind, be right to the point. Don't waste their time. Just simply deliver your message, whatever that message may be, and let them know your thoughts. All right, we're going to take our phone calls, and I see them lighting up here across the board. Lines are we have one more, and we'll be jammed right here. At telephone number 800-733-9829. Lines are jammed, and we're going to get to our first caller in just a moment. Our telephone number, of course, when you call in to share with us here on the air, is 800-733-9829. And we'll look forward to sharing with you, find out exactly what your thoughts are as we address the subject today. And as you talk to our screener, be very brief and to the point, just right to the subject, because the lines are literally jamming here in the studio, so we need to get the calls in here as quickly as we can. We're going to go right now to a gentleman who's on the road right now. His name is Ty. And Ty, you're on the air. Your thoughts?
Yes, I'm just curious. Isn't the gay movement, by calling themselves the alternative lifestyle? And if that's the case, shouldn't by definition, does an alternative define that there's two sides, this way and that way? And by definition, doesn't that mean that this side has a right to say something and this side has a right to say something? And by definition, alternative to what would be heterosexual relationships and marriage? Can't they go after the gay movement for these hate crimes on the basis of their own definition of their own lifestyle as alternative? Alternative to what? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Well, what I'd say, Ty, is this, that it doesn't matter anybody of any persuasion that takes rocks and throws them through somebody else's window is committing a crime. Okay? And when you use violent behavior, to enforce your demands, that is criminal. That is it's more than a hate crime. It's actually declaring war. So just a thought there as we cover that, Ty. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We're going to go to Rose in South Milwaukee. Rose, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes.
This is Rose Foote. I called the Chicago division of the FBI.
Good.
and they referred me to Rolling Heights Division.
Which Heights?
Rolling Heights.
Rolling Heights Division.
Of the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
The phone number is 1-847-290-0525.
Okay.
Now, there's Rolling Meadows and there's Arlington Heights, Vic. I don't know which one it is, but that's probably a better number.
Maybe it's Rolling Meadows.
Okay.
But I didn't call that yet. I wanted to let you know.
Well, I'll tell you what. People can call both.
Okay.
Let them know, because it's part of the federal system. Okay. And if you can't get through to one, get through to the other.
Okay.
And if Chicago ends up with 500 phone calls, I'm sure that the word's going to get to Rolling Meadows or whatever the name of it is.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Rose. Appreciate the call. And we're going to move right along to our next call, which is Marie in Pennsylvania. And Marie, welcome to the program.
Yes, this is Maria from EPA, and I have called them, and I waited a few seconds, and the lady answered the phone, and after I asked her, I introduced myself and tell her that I'm a citizen of this country, and I would like full investigation of FBI investigating the hate crime that have been committed against Christian Liberty Academy.
Yes.
And she said, just a minute, connected me with someone else. And the lady that answered second time, she have said that I am a number four caller. And at this point, she said that I need to refer you to Arlington Heights Police Department to investigate that. I say, wait a minute, but I would like FBI to investigate. She said, well, at this point we can't do that because police is the first one that needs to do that. That's in this area. And if they will need our help, then we would step in and help them to investigate that. So maybe it would be a good idea if we all call Arlington Heights Police Department.
Well, could we add that number to the list? Everybody can call all of them. Because I really think that
I do not have that number.
Okay.
I just the Christian Liberty Academy is kind of close to my heart. Years ago, I homeschool my children using their curriculum, and I think they are awesome. And so, but we need to stand up as Christians. We can't just. Everything else seems to be falling apart, but our hope is in the Lord, maker of heaven and earth, and we have to look up to him, but uncover the unfruitful works of darkness, and that's what we need to do as well with love.
Thank you, Maria from Pennsylvania. Appreciate that call. Well, we're coming up on a break here shortly, and if we can, we'll get the Arlington Heights phone number, the Arlington Heights Police Department, if one of our helpers can get that to us as well. But I wouldn't bypass letting the FBI know as well, because this hate crimes are usually investigated by the federals. This is a federal crime. We'll be right back.
Does God really exist? The demand of every skeptic is, prove it. Of course, making a decision to accept the gospel is a matter of faith, but there is much evidence to verify its claims. VCY America introduces you to the DVD Startling Proofs, a fast-moving 60-minute docudrama pointing out the discoveries in science, creation, and archaeology, which are convincing the most determined skeptics to take a second look. You'll see how genetic research points to a divine creator, how mathematics and physical laws disprove the Big Bang, how biology disproves evolution, how astronomy points to a young Earth, and many other startling proofs. Many have used this DVD to share with their unsaved friends and loved ones. To receive your copy of Startling Proofs, send a donation of $10 or more to VCY America, 3434 West Kilbourne Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53208. To make your donation by phone, call 1-800-729-9829. 1-800-729-9829.
And welcome back to Crosstalk. And we do have the number for the Arlington Heights Police Department as well. And so we have several numbers in Arlington Heights area. And those numbers I'm going to give you right now. That is area code 847-368-5300. That's 847-368-5300. Also the number 847-290-0525. Those are numbers in Illinois which you can call and urge again that they investigate this hate crimes thing that has literally been perpetrated against Christian Liberty Academy and the Americans for Truth. And we have information coming through. In addition, Brother Jim, I know we've got, there we have the Arlington Police Department, and we have also the commander of the Criminal Investigations Bureau. Folks, here's another number. Please keep your pen handy. The next number is Kenneth Galinski. He is the commander of the Criminal Investigations Bureau in Arlington Heights. The phone number is 847-368-5413. Again, he's the commander of the Criminal Investigations Bureau, Kenneth Galinski. The number 847-368-5413. Also, there's Gerald Mourning, who is the chief of police. And, of course, he would have to be reached through the main switchboard number. But this is the kind of communication that needs to be directed to these people. This kind of a crime. Talk about hate crimes. I think it's time that people respond on behalf of this fine institution. Well, back to you. As far as we're talking about this, Peter, there are things that people can do, and we trust that they will be calling this afternoon.
Where you have a picture of what actually happened. It is AmericansForTruth.org or .com, AmericansForTruth, all written out, .org, and it's got the picture. Now, sorry, there is they use the F word, but you have a picture of the brick that said "Shut Lively Down." You got a picture of the letter, and then the most amazing thing, Vic, is this left-wing homosexual manifesto, where they come right out and say, these chunks of concrete were thrown through these windows and doors for two reasons. And one of them is, of course, hatred and homophobia, and the other one is to directly cause this event to be shut down. Talk about being open about what your agenda is.
Well, the police, of course, the Daily Herald out of Illinois, I believe it is, and we're talking about the police that continue to probe the vandalism of Arlington Heights School. This is more than vandalism when you have a letter that describes why they did it and who did it. Of course.
Yes, absolutely, Vic. If it were the other side, I think if it were a homosexual church that was vandalized, I think they would say they're investigating this potential hate crime.
Okay. And this had one call from Alberta, Alabama. She said she called the FBI at Arlington Heights, Illinois, and was told that I needed to contact the police department, and then they would call the FBI if it was necessary. Well, I hope that you will remember that phone number that we gave for the FBI as well. And I think I need that FBI number back on the screen here, the FBI number, so that we can keep you appraised of it. Our telephone number here, 800-733-9829. Let's go to Paul in Rochester, Minnesota. Paul, you're on the air today.
Hi, my name is Paul Kenneth. This is what I told the FBI. I told them my name, and my name, Paul Kewen, and I told them where I live, and I told them as a citizen, asking them to investigate the Christian Liberty
Christian Liberty Academy. Mm-hmm.
And they told me that they would take it under advisement.
Very good. Well, that sounds like somebody's listening. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Paul. Let's go to Ernest in Mobile, Alabama. Our number here is 800-733-9829. Ernest, you're on the air with Peter LaBarbera.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm happy to have the privilege of being able to comment here.
Can you speak closer to your telephone? It's very hard to hear you, sir.
I say I'm happy to have the privilege of being able to comment.
Yes.
I'd like to say that we should fight the fight of a good fight of faith. We need to fight this thing, but we're not fighting against flesh and blood.
We understand that, sir.
Yeah, this erosion of morals it didn't just hit the road. It's been erosion for a long time, even in the churches and everywhere else. But now we are seeing the devastating effects of it. I never believed that the law of hate crime was legislated for good people. I think it was legislated for immoral people who want to put their standards on societies that is not right.
Ernest, thank you so much from Mobile, Alabama. Your thoughts there, Peter?
Oh, Vic, that was just there's such truth in that. We are seeing a moral degrading in our culture, and that was one thing both Pastor Lutzer from Moody Church, and Scott Lively said, is that we are witnessing a precipitous decline in our national morality. And I know you've been telling people that for a long time, Vic, but the reality is that we will see left-wing agitation if this continues to go down. The homosexuals will get more and more aggressive and bold, and they target the people they target the most are Christians, because Christians are the last group in society and not all Christians are, but the ones who are standing up against this agenda, and that's why they target us.
We're going to go to Minnesota, and let me be sure that what was your name again, Minnesota? There is it Zeke? Zeke, welcome to the program.
Thank you. My grandfather was a pastor in Nazi Germany in the 1930s, and I asked him one day. He went through the whole thing. Hello, are you there?
Yep, we're here.
Okay, he went through the whole thing, and he ended up in a concentration camp, and he made it to the United States. And I asked him one day what happened, what they should have done. And you're not going to like my answer, but what he said was that they should have stood up to these guys immediately, and I don't mean just praying for them. I mean physically standing up to these people and taking them on nose to nose. And that Christians are going to have to get tough, and we're going to have to start forming into defense groups. Otherwise, we're going to all get killed.
Well, Zeke, that's an interesting thing, and Peter, I'll let you respond to that.
Well, you know what? What amazes me is that Christians are so meek when it comes to just resisting with the tools that we have in a free society, resisting this basically what it is a sin movement, right? I mean, this is the homosexuals, bisexuals, transgenders. It's no restraints on sexual behavior, and of course they want to radically change marriage itself. But, you now see the rise of this emergent church movement, which is blatantly unbiblical in that they're basically going around talking about gay Christians. And so, I believe that the times are getting darker and the aggression will step up. But right now, Christians they're not even getting involved in politics, Vic, a lot of them.
Well, so many people are saying, well, I just don't think it's Christian to be involved in politics. Well, let me say this. First of all, somehow people get the idea that politics here in the United States is the equivalent to dealing with the Roman government, and it shouldn't be. You see, this is representative government. God blessed our nation with a republic where we could be involved. There was a standard, a constitution, and here we stand. But when you have, the Bible says, if a man knows to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. And the kind of righteousness we're talking about is just being civil, being respectful, if we can, to even people in government.
Yeah, and Vic, my question for Christians who don't want to get involved is you're telling me that in a civil, a free society, when you have homosexual activists making six figures, some making over $300,000 running groups which are wholly devoted to promoting sin, you're telling me in a free society we are not allowed to oppose them or should oppose them in the public square? If we don't, politics abhors a void, and evil will rush in. And that's what we're seeing. The homosexual lobby, they sure aren't defensive about promoting their version of reality. They're very aggressive. They do it without any reservation. It's the Christians who are supposed to have the truth. We're the ones who seem like we're ashamed of our truth when it's really in agreement with God.
And we cannot forget the sounds that come even from those gatherings as they shout.
Bring back the lions! Bring back the lions! Bring back the lions! Bring back the lions!
That's a homosexual group that are standing in opposition to Christian values. You cannot escape us, and that literally brings some real shock and fear. And let me say this, folks, if we do not resist the devil and his issues, yes, we resist them spiritually, but also to hold back those who are doing evil and wickedness through the channels of government and to elect people who recognize right and wrong. Sadly, today we find corruption in government where the evildoer finds a pass, and those who seek to do right end up being the ones who get the penalty. It's kind of hard to believe there, but that's true, Peter.
Yes, Vic, and we just have to stand for truth.